What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me. I'm going to do a two-part video series here on scouting public land, and it's very basic, but I'm going to walk you through how to learn a piece of public land in two parts. And the first part is about what you do before you ever leave home. And we're talking about public land that might be 10 miles from your house, or it might be 3 states away that you're going to go there and hunt for a week. But we're going to scout them out pretty much the same way. So this first video, you're going to start right in your home, and you're going to use your computer, laptop, phone, and we're going to look at some aerial photos, and we're going to make some calls, and we're going to use the Huntstand app. And then in the second part, we're going to go to the property, and we're going to do boots on the ground scouting, and we're going to talk about looking at the areas that we found on aerial photography, and we're going to look for sign, and we're going to do some trail camera stuff and everything like that. So this is a two-part series starting right now. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get on some aerial photography, whether that's Bing Maps or Google Earth or whatever, and we're going to start looking at these properties and try to identify some of the areas that the deer are going to be using. So we want to try to figure out areas that look like they're bedding areas. If we're going to do a rut hunt, then of course we want to look at pinch points, funnels, where's the food, where are they eating. It's really common for these deer to be bedding on public land and moving off onto surrounding farmlands, ag fields, where there may be alfalfa, corn, soybeans, barley, wheat, or whatever, and these deer may be moving off to feed. So depending on whether you're doing a rut hunt or an early season hunt or a late season hunt, those are going to determine what types of things you're looking for. Like an early season hunt, for example, you want to know where the water is at on the property. The deer are probably going to need to hit the water every day. They're probably feeding more on acorns than anything else, so you want to look at ridges that might have acorns. Now, as you find these areas, it's a good idea to use an app, whether it's Base Map or Onyx. I like Huntstand app, and you can mark these and put an icon on there. If I find an area that looks like it's probably bedding area, then I'm going to put an icon for bedding on there, and then I can walk right to it using that app when I actually go to the property. So another thing that you're going to look at is access points. How are you going to get in there? What's the easiest way to get to the areas that you want to hunt? Are there overlooked spots that are probably not being hunted as much? Deep areas that most people aren't going to get to? Is there food plots on the property? That's another thing that's important to try to figure out. Now, I use an electric bike, and is there good areas that I can use to access by electric bike? So are there barriers that keep other people from going in there? That's another important aspect. Most people won't put on a pair of waders to cross a creek. If you're willing to do that, you're able to find some points where there's going to be some deer that don't get as much hunting pressure. Okay, now after we've got all this lined up on the aerial photography, then we're going to make some phone calls. Good old-fashioned phone work. You're going to call DNR biologists. We're going to find out information about the property's potential to produce a mature buck. Are they planting food plots in there? What happened? What is planted in there this year? Did they put corn or soybeans or brassicas or whatever in these food plots? And there's land managers. Another good person to call is a game warden. The game wardens usually have pretty good idea about how much hunting pressure these properties get. They also probably have a pretty good idea what the trophy potential might be for that. The things that you're going to look for before you actually put your feet on the ground and go walk. But one last thing that I want to check before I finish out this part of it is I want to see if I can find on the aerial photography that there's areas where I can glass from. And one of the first things I do when I arrive at a new property is I want to look it over. Is there a high spot where I can get up and look at things through a spotting scope? Maybe in the evening I'll see some deer out in the fields and so forth, and that'll give me some clues to where the deer are moving through the property. So that's part one, and in part two we're going to put our boots on the ground, and we're actually going to do some in-person scouting using the information that we learned from this part.